We previously saw how the Fellowship triumphed over Saruman's forces, but the true test was only beginning. Aragorn, understanding that Rohan's army alone could not stand against Sauron's might, chose a daring and dangerous path. Alongside Legolas and Gimli, he rode south to the Paths of the Dead, seeking the aid of an ancient, cursed army, Oathbreakers who had betrayed Gondor's king long ago. It was said that only the rightful king of Gondor could summon them to fulfill their broken oath. With great courage, Aragorn entered the haunted mountain and called upon the dead. Bound by their ancient vow, they agreed to fight for him. Together, they rode to Pelargir, where they confronted the corsairs of Umbar, Sauron's naval allies. With the aid of the ghostly army of the dead, Aragorn seized the corsair ships and turned the tide in Gondor's favor. Meanwhile, Gondor's capital, Minas Tirith, stood on the edge of ruin. The black banners of Sauron's armies darkened the sky, and the city braced for its darkest hour. Denethor, steward of Gondor, had fallen into despair, consumed by the loss of his son Boromir and the belief that his other son, Faramir, would soon die. Faramir had led a brave defense of Osgiliath, but had been forced to retreat, gravely wounded. Overwhelmed by grief and madness, Denethor retreated to the tombs of his ancestors, planning to take his own life and that of his son. At this critical moment, Gandalf arrived with Pippin at his side. Seeing Denethor's madness, Gandalf took control of the city's defense, rallying the men of Gondor. As the vast armies of Mordor, led by the Witch King of Angmar, descended upon the city, fire and shadow rained down. The defenders fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Just as Minas Tirith seemed on the verge of collapse, the horns of Rohan sounded in the distance. King Théoden, honoring the ancient alliance between Gondor and Rohan, had arrived. With a thunderous charge, Théoden and his riders swept into the enemy ranks, bringing new hope to the beleaguered city. Yet, amidst the chaos, the Witch King confronted Théoden, striking him down in battle. It was then that Éowyn, disguised as a rider, stood against the Witch King, with Merry by her side. Defying the prophecy that no man could kill him, Éowyn revealed herself, declaring, "I am no man." With Merry's help, she delivered the final blow, ending the Witch King's reign of terror. Though Théoden perished, proud of his niece's bravery, the battle raged on. The forces of Gondor and Rohan were once again overwhelmed when, at the critical moment, Aragorn arrived. Sailing up the river on the captured corsair ships, Aragorn brought not only his freedmen, but also the army of the dead. Their spectral power swept through Sauron's forces, turning the tide of the battle. With this final push, Minas Tirith was saved. However, the war was not yet over. The One Ring, still in Frodo's possession, remained the key to Sauron's defeat. Aragorn, now hailed as the true king of Gondor, knew they needed to give Frodo and Sam a chance to destroy the ring. He led the combined armies of Gondor and Rohan on a daring march to the Black Gate of Mordor. Their force was small compared to Sauron's legions, but the goal was not to defeat the Dark Lord in open battle. Instead, they sought to draw Sauron's attention away from Frodo, who was still making his way to Mount Doom. At the Black Gate, Aragorn and his army faced Sauron's overwhelming forces. Encircled by Mordor's legions, the situation seemed hopeless. Yet Aragorn, unwavering, called out to Sauron, challenging his might. Meanwhile, deep in Mordor, Frodo and Sam reached Mount Doom, weary from their journey. As they stood on the brink of success, the ring's power overwhelmed Frodo. He claimed it as his own. But in the final moment, Gollum, who had followed them, attacked Frodo, biting the ring from his finger. In his madness, Gollum fell into the fires of Mount Doom, taking the ring with him. With the destruction of the ring, Sauron's power was broken. His tower crumbled, his armies disintegrated, and his dominion over Middle-earth came to an end. Aragorn was crowned King of Gondor in a grand ceremony in Minas Tirith. Reunited with Éowyn, his queen, he ushered in an era of peace and prosperity. The Fourth Age of Middle-earth began, and under Aragorn's reign, Gondor and the free peoples of Middle-earth flourished. The Fellowship's quest had been fulfilled, and the shadow of Sauron was lifted forever.